Hey friends. Well, there's a certain kind of, I call it the eye of the needle, that seems to really reliably show up when something big is about to happen. And frequently, there's a kind of, like in narrative, in narrative form, it's sometimes described as the dark night of the soul, where the hero, the protagonist, thinks all is lost. You think that there's no way out. Whatever forces they've been battling for the duration of the story seem to be winning. And on the other side of that is the new revelation, the next, the prize, the victory, the realization. And I got a little of that going on. I think I got me some dark night of the soul happening. No, I don't want to over dramatize it, but I definitely have a sense the thing about to kind of carry through the narrative structure version of this, which I often do when I'm in an experience, because it's almost like you can give yourself a roadmap. The forces are actually seeming forces of evil, the forces of antagonism, the forces that are of oppression, whatever, are like putting pressure on a diamond, right? Like the compression that creates a diamond. Those forces are provoking us to something that we otherwise probably wouldn't do. There's a portion of the evolution of consciousness that feels like death. It feels like being squished in a trash compactor, or I don't know, insert your favorite metaphor of overwhelming forces here. And I think because I've been through this a number of times, I know how this works. I know it's new every time. There's no relief, really, simply by knowing that this is how it works. That doesn't alleviate the intensity, because of course each one of these eyes of the needle is a new one, and it includes the context of now. It doesn't we don't get to repeat the same ones from our past that we've already come through. We get to do new ones. And so, there's an element of real reckoning that I think continues to show up for me, and I think I've just had this time up in Michigan with Annalise and a little bit with Katie and with the rest of my family, and so much so much came through. I really feel like I was being fed a kind of update, like an iOS update. In a lot of ways, there was some pain involved. I do still have an injury in my body that it's unsettling. I had some professional quandaries that didn't have not a lot of movement happened while I was up there, but a lot of thinking happened. A lot of kind of perspective shifting happened. So I think I'm ready to leave some things behind and to move into some other things. But the actual movement, the actual concrete, okay, now this rubber meets road in my life, that happens now. That chapter of lake time was kind of and frequently is a kind of time to step away and get some perspective. Sometimes I can do work there, but a lot of times the work happens here. The work happens when I come back. So partly what I'm doing with this post today is just tracking that, just acknowledging where I'm at, capturing some of the impression that it's making on me. There's a kind of lifting of a what feels like a weight. And I think not running from that experience, not projecting the problem outside myself, or conversely projecting the solution outside myself. There's nothing like a dark night of the soul moment to make you want to reach for anything to distract yourself. So in so many ways, simply sitting with it. David Deida talks about how it's important for people. I mean, he is specifically talking about men in this context, but it's really it's not specific to the male gender, although I think there's a kind of a masculine path in a way, whether we're in a male or a female body, there's a masculine form of energetic processing that basically involves dealing with our pain alone. There's a taking it upon ourselves and digesting it. It's like the work of spiritual practice in the individual, not in a collective, not in relationship to others, not with no option to project the intensity or the energy that we're experiencing that is ours to process, not projecting that outside ourselves, because that's how it makes the diamond. It can't make the diamond if you dissipate the pressure into other people or distracting events. Then that pressure, taking that pressure off is actually not a good thing. Other than that, it provides some temporary relief. And if the situation is so overwhelming that it's something's going to snap, well then yeah, we want to dissipate that pressure. But assuming we have a practice and a container that can hold it, then keeping the pressure in is actually very transformative. And I try to remember that. I try to keep that in mind. I try to give myself, acknowledge myself for even having that realization and for sticking with it. It's not so easy to do. And the whole point is that we're not looking for someone else to affirm us, or we're not looking for acknowledgement outside of ourselves to be told, you're okay, you're doing great, hang in there. People might offer that. Helpful friends and fellow travelers might offer that. But that's not the point. The point is we can offer that to ourselves. There's an interior fire of transformation that we can nurture inside of us. And when I'm in a moment of like feeling that sort of like that energy bearing down on me, I'm doing my best to kind of put it in context, remember its function, remember what my job is in this position, right? Like, what is it I'm here to do with this? And try to get excited about it. Try to suit up and get enthusiastic about what's beyond this. Because it's here to serve me if I will stand up and work with it and lift the weight and climb the mountain. Insert your favorite victorious image here. If I'll do that, then I'll get a transformation out of this. I'll get something new. A new wave of consciousness, a new level of existence. And that sounds awfully good. That feels worth fighting for, worth working for. So, thank you for watching, listening. I realize I'm sharing kind of in a way that is very much for myself. Like I'm trying to concretize and clarify my own thoughts to myself primarily. This is a universal experience. Everybody goes through these moments. And I've always felt like it's an important part of spiritual practice to acknowledge that work, to just let people know this is fine. It may feel like the sky is falling, but actually you're exactly in the right place. This is part of the map of transformation, of the transformational journey. You are not off course. And help take some of that doubt out of the picture that would have us believe it's not worth fighting for. It's not worth lifting. It's not worth climbing the mountain. It's not worth crossing the sea, right? Because that'd be a shame, because it is worth it. It actually is worth it. So thank you for listening and sharing this with me. I hope this is helpful to some other folks on the way. And it certainly gives me, just giving voice to it helps me as well. It helps me galvanize my own resolve and really create more clarity about what's really happening here. So yeah. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you very soon.